Welcome, everybody, to the latest live edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. Along with Zach Meisel, I'm Adam the Bull. Zach, we've had a few minutes to breathe here. Do you still believe what you saw last night?
No, and unless we want to just sit here for 2 minutes of my speechlessness, you might as well just intro the show.
Let's go. It's the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. The Guardians are back in the ALCS. Well, you know, in the last number of years, and just being Guardians fan in general and being a Cleveland sports fan in general, we've seen a lot of crazy stuff over the years, Zach. You certainly have been a fan longer than I have in this town, of course, but that one's up there in the record books of one of the most improbable. We've talked so many times about Rajai Davis, the most improbable home run of all time. Well, this might be one of the most improbable wins if you consider the circumstances. Yeah, the Guardians have come back for more runs, but if you look at the circumstances of this game, the way they blew it with their best closer, with their best pitcher, and then it's 2 outs in the ninth, and it feels completely hopeless. The idea that they won this game from that moment on, from the Josh Naylor double play on, I don't think I could. Some people are going to say, "Oh, I always believed." I don't believe that. I had no thoughts they were going to win this game at that point. No chance.
So the best game I've ever seen is Game 7 of the 2016 World Series, and that's going to be tough to top because of the storylines. 108-year drought versus a 68-year drought, the two longest droughts in baseball, the rain delay, the Rajai home run, Kipnis scoring from second base, the Cubs coming back from down 3-1, the Cavs having already won that summer after the city hadn't won a title in 52 years. Yep. All of that combined, and then everything on the line on one night where the season's going to end, that game's tough to top. But I was trying to think of a game that I've seen in this franchise's history that tops that they won, or B, just any other game that tops that. And I like there were some wacky playoff games in 97. Mm-hmm. Even their first playoff game in 95 where Tony Pena hit the walk-off at 2 a.m. Like, that was insane. But their season was over if they didn't pull this out.
Yeah.
And it was over not, if Tony Pena doesn't hit that home run, they might still win that series in 1995. If Noel doesn't hit that home run, we're sitting here talking about all the things that you've teased that we were going to talk about in the offseason. We're talking about the Dolans, and we're talking about what to do with Clase. Well, he still might do that. We're talking about, the need for starting pitching and another bat. And do they trade Naylor? And no, instead you're thinking they could win this series. And it's just the momentum swings. I think MLB kind of documented, like, they of course included Shohei Ohtani hitting a home run, but the 72 minutes of like pure baseball ecstasy.
Yeah.
From the moment Judge hit the home run to the moment Fry hit his. And like, it's crazy to think we got Emanuel Clase versus Aaron Judge. We got a guy who had one of the best relief seasons in baseball history. Enough so that he was a Cy Young contender until Tarek Skubal just refused to have a bad start. Against Aaron Judge, who's just like a giant playing with little kids, who's going to be probably a unanimous MVP. We got that with the game on the line. Like, we've wanted that. Clase wanted that for 2 months. And we got that. And it delivered in a moment that, like all the New York writers were saying, well, this is like the story of all stories.
Yeah.
And then it became a footnote. Like, that's just what's insane to me. Like, that game, those last few innings were just nuts. And I'm glad, like, it also wasn't just like, a little rally here. Like, the Guardians came back with 3 singles and a walk or something like that. No, it was seismic blasts to the bleachers that just, You won't forget the swing. You won't forget the noise the bat made when it struck the ball. You won't forget the bat flips. You won't forget the calls, whether it was Tom Hamilton or Brian Anderson or Rafa. Did you hear Rafa singing Feliz Navidad? I mean, just all of those elements make it so that I'm struggling to think of anything better.
And you're right about the Judge home run. That felt like a seismic moment in his career because he's not been great in the postseason. And Yankee fans who don't deserve, just like Dustin said on our UCSS the other day, the Browns that the Browns don't, not the Browns fans, but the Browns don't deserve Nick Chubb. The Yankees don't deserve Aaron Judge. That's more about the fans. The fans boo him. It's so stupid. But that moment did become a footnote. First of all, Stanton hits the home run back-to-back off Clase to give the Yankees the lead. And then and then in the bottom of the ninth, first of all, it was a great piece of hitting by Lane Thomas to keep it alive, because it would have been very easy after Naylor hits into the double play for everybody to just get deflated and say, what are we going to do? This is it. This guy's been great, this pitcher, and but Weaver, I don't know if it was because he gave up the home run to Ramirez the night 2 days before. Maybe they felt he was vulnerable because of that. Who knows? We'll never know. Or maybe we will. But Lane Thomas to rip that ball off the wall. He just missed a home run, obviously. And it was a good call by Brian Anderson on the TV broadcast because, Lane Thomas knows he's not going to want to walk him. So he was sat on that fastball and he hit it. And then Jhonkensy, who, we were all excited about him when he first came to the big leagues, and he hit a home run in his first at bat, and he had a great first week, but he hadn't done much down the stretch. It was a lot of strikeouts and bad swings, and he hadn't done anything in the playoffs. He had one hit. And obviously the second the ball hit the bat, you knew it was gone, and everybody went crazy. He just destroyed that baseball. That was and you talk about the bat flips. I mean, that bat flip was, an all-timer right there. We haven't even gotten to the Fry home run like you did, but it's just so crazy.
Yeah. The way, first of all, Noel, the rest of his life, is never going to hit a home run that sneaks over the fence, right?
Right.
He's never going to accidentally run into one. That guy, the contact, when he hits it on the sweet spot, it is a thing of beauty. It is amazing. Kind of like when Stanton hits one and he can hit one harder than anybody in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It's majestic. And that's kind of what Jhonkensy's like. And the way he just he makes contact, he knows instantly.
Yeah.
He just discards the bat and then puts his head down to trot the bases. It's business. He's here for business. The thing, so I wrote about this at The Athletic, but everyone's going to remember this night. I don't know if they're going to win the series. We could talk about that, obviously, but
right.
If you were there in person, I mean, that is Joe Noga for Cleveland.com, his son got tickets and was there, and his son is in high school.
Yeah.
And that kid is never going to forget that night the rest of his life.
No doubt. Yeah.
And Joe's like, well, when I was his age, this team stunk. They never played in October. What? This isn't fair. But it's just things like that. And baseball provides us these moments and these storylines. And, it's like when I was referencing 2016, of course, when the Indians were there and they had their drought, they're the team that has to lose to the Cubs. That's just the way baseball works. It's poetic. Yeah. And if you think about last night and how much Noel had struggled, I think he had 61 at bats in September, didn't homer. And he had 15 so far in the playoffs, didn't homer. He was really struggling. If you go all the way back to June 26th, he made his major league debut.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit that home run in his first at bat, and the dugout was going crazy. You know who was watching the Guardians for the first time that night?
Who was watching the Guardians for the first? I don't know.
A free agent pitcher named Matthew Boyd.
Mm.
He wanted to tune into the Guardians to just see what they were about. They were playing the Orioles. He said, this is a good game. Let's gauge their pulse. Tunes in. Noel hits a home run. They go nuts. And Boyd has said from the beginning. He's like, I wanted to be part of that. There was so much energy in the dugout.
Yeah.
Those guys are having so much fun. That pushed him over the finish line to sign with Cleveland. And last night, Boyd, who is like their ace now,
Yeah, he
probably,
is. Yeah.
gives you
He's been
5
great.
sharp innings against the Yankees to,
Yeah.
you've got 3 straight days of games, so you don't have to push your bullpen too hard, and held the lead for them. I mean, he was fantastic. And of course, then Noel delivers the theatrics in the ninth. Like, the way baseball works is just incredible.
And it's been like these big moments. The biggest moments have been Jhonkensy Noel, David Fry, and Lane Thomas. Not Jose, not Naylor, not Clase, wrapping it up. It's been the next group. And you know what else was a footnote last night? Kyle Manzardo's home run that you allegedly predicted.
I thought I did.
I don't know. You did. I did. I did also.
You're on so many shows. You probably
I
forget
know. I
what you
can't even
say.
keep track of what I'm saying anymore. But and I mean that was huge. The Manzardo home run at the time was incredible because that gave them their first lead after they fell. Because we both felt like, hey, you need to get off to a good start, and then the Yankees score first, and the Guardians in the bottom of the first again they blow an opportunity, first and second, nobody out, and then Manzardo homers. Jimenez comes through with the base hit with the infield pulled in, and at 3-1 with 2 outs in the eighth, Kate Smith had pitched great. Herron had done a good job. Gaddis got the first 2 outs easy. By the way, I had people believe it or not. I don't know if you saw my tweets. I know people were emotional at the time, but even after the game, people were still saying this, which is the dumbest take I've ever seen. There were people actually tweeting me saying that they essentially intentionally walked Juan Soto with 2 outs in the eighth, which
To bring up Judge as the tying run?
right. Exactly. I think they're taking maybe what they did when they intentionally walked Soto the other day to bring up Judge as like a reasoning for it, but you would never bring up the tying run to the plate ever in that situation. It makes no sense. It's insane. I don't even know why I addressed it, but that's how crazy people get when things kind of fall apart there. But there end up being a lot of forgotten moments in the first 7 innings of this game that were important to get you where you were. But you mentioned Matthew Boyd, and man, what a find this guy has been. He was sensational yesterday. I even thought he could have gone another inning. I understand why they took him out. I actually have zero beef with Stephen Vogt. I got no
I thought he managed a really good game.
Yeah, I didn't. There was not one criticism I have for him for the entire game. No, I didn't have any problem with any pinch hitting, with the lineup, whatever.
Honestly, I think the only criticism I had during the game as it was happening was I didn't think Hedges. I thought he had one too many at bats, and then he was that when he doubled or was
I think he made an out those last at bat.
Did he make an out? Okay.
Yeah. But how about this though?
But it ended up working out though because then you didn't whoever they would have pinch hit him with, if they would have gone to Fry
right
in that situation, you wouldn't have had Fry later on.
How about Noel, Hedges, Brennan, and Naylor, who had combined for 2 hits coming into in the entire postseason, go 4 for 5, 2 runs, 2 ribbies, a homer, and a walk. I think Hedges walked in that at bat.
That's baseball, right?
Yeah.
Aren't we just talking about how the catchers were 0 for 23?
Yeah, right. And that was a nice and by the way, that was a big hit by Naylor, which kind of gets lost in the home run. But you needed, if he doesn't get on base, then David Fry doesn't get the chance to win the game.
Think about how many things get lost because of this.
My
Cade
God.
Smith blitzed through the middle of New York's lineup in 10 pitches. It took impressive. Like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Pedro Avila gets the win.
He was great.
That guy went from not being on the division series roster to pitching the 10th inning of a tie game in a must-win game. The Andres Jimenez defensive play and the Josh Naylor stretch.
I couldn't believe. At first glance, I was like, no way Naylor kept his foot on the base. No way. And then they showed the replay, and he did it. He doesn't. If they don't make that, first of all, if Jimenez doesn't make that play, it's 1st and 3rd. So, they're probably giving up a run in that situation. But that was unbelievable. And like you said, in in the 10th inning, the way Avila, I mean, that at bat where he strikes out Judge, just an unbelievable at bat. And for all the sloppiness that the Guardians have had, there was none of that last night, right? There was no misplays in the field. Am I forgetting something? Did Schneemann have a bobble, or am I making that up? I don't think it mattered though.
No, I think
whereas the Yankees ran the bases poorly again yesterday.
They botched the one rundown, but
right, yeah, oh god, yeah. At the time, I was like, oof, that was Jose threw that ball way too early. By the way, tell me what you think of this. I know Rizzo looked ugly in the field the last couple of innings, but I think Boone did the Guardians a huge favor in taking Rizzo and Wells out of the lineup. There was something about those. Say what you want. Listen, I've said it a million times. Rizzo is a shell of what he used to be. But he has some level of intimidation factor that makes their lineup seem even stronger than it is. And John Birdie's a nothing. And even a catcher, and I know Wells hasn't been great, but they were batting him cleanup for a reason because he's had a good season. Like Trevino is a nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I really thought that was a mistake, not playing those guys.
I assume they'll be back in there tonight with
probably.
With a righty on the mound. I was thinking like Avila ends up shutting the door, I guess.
Yeah.
That was a waiver claim in April.
Yep.
Like they needed an arm.
Yeah.
And they got him. And guys like that, you think, oh, well, he'll just be here for a couple weeks until some other guy comes off the injured list, or, they have an extra inning game and they need to DFA somebody to create space for a fresh arm. And that guy pitched so well in any circumstance they asked, whether it was 3 days in a row, multiple innings, 2 days in a row. And you could tell that he's really proud of what he accomplished this season. I mean, he ended up throwing like 70 some innings and he was great.
Yep.
And anytime he would talk, he would just say how he is obsessed with pitching. He wants to be out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's 10-2, he's fine. And he ended up getting a partnership with a local donut shop because everyone started calling him this innings eater. And people are creating memes or t-shirts as if, so he finally had t-shirts made. Yeah. And for the first time yesterday, some players were wearing the t-shirts during batting practice, and it's like a big caricature of his face. And it says innings eater and Pedro Avila, number 60. And it's like, what are the odds though? He waits till October 17th to have these t-shirts in the clubhouse. And then he's the guy on the mound after Clase blows it, carving up the middle of the Yankees order to set the stage for Fry's walk-off. It's just amazing.
And he wasn't even on the roster for the Tiger series.
No, he was their biggest cheerleader. He was always the first guy out of the dugout to cheer on any pitcher coming off the mound in that series.
All right, looking forward. Let's start before we get to Gavin Williams. Let's start with the concerning thing, and that's Emanuel Clase. Obviously, he's given up runs in 3 starts. He's given up three appearances. He's given up 3 home runs.
He's given up more earned runs in the playoffs than he allowed all regular season.
It's crazy. What's your explanation? Is there an explanation?
I don't have one. And he left the ballpark last night before his teammates were even done celebrating. So
that's not great.
I don't have an explanation from him.
Yeah.
I don't have an explanation, period. Stephen Vogt's just going to say, he said Judge is the best hitter on the planet. That happens. The Judge one, actually, that's, I don't know how, I think there are 2 people in baseball who could have hit that 99-mile-an-hour cutter on the outside corner into the right field seats. And it was the 2 guys who took him deep in that inning. But the Stanton one, that was an 89-mile-an-hour slider down the middle. And I don't know. I don't know what the issue is, and it's too late to can't run away from him.
No. Do you think Stephen Vogt is still confident in bringing him in?
I do.
Tonight?
He said he'd be right back out there in the 9th.
Yeah, I think you got no choice. A lot of people tweeting at me say, you got to bench Josh Naylor. Got to bench Josh Naylor. Like, I think you have to, and I understand where they're coming from on the Naylor thing because a lot of people would like to see Fry and Manzardo both play. I get it. But ultimately, if the Guardians are going to win this series, they won one game. They're back in it. They have a legit chance now. But if they're ultimately going to win the series, they're still going to need Ramirez, Naylor, and Clase to be a big part of it. They're not going to win 4 games in this series, or it's unlikely they're going to win 4 games in the series without those guys contributing more.
Yeah, I'll take it a step further.
Yeah.
They've gotten the role player contributions that are pivotal to win a World Series.
Yes.
You've gotten more than you could ask for from Fry, Lane Thomas, Noel, Matthew Boyd, Rocchio, yeah. If you those guys have done everything. Like you've done the hard part.
Yeah.
Now you just need your best players to perform. Clase, Ramirez, Naylor, and I'd add Tanner Bybee to that list too.
Yeah, that's
He's
fair.
going to make a start here at some point, game 5 or game 6. And you need him to cement himself as a name people know.
Yeah.
So they've gotten all the contributions from the B tier and the C tier on the roster, and you're either going to sink or swim with your star players.
Who do you think starts at catcher tonight? Is it Austin Hedges again? Does the hit that Bo Naylor got get him back in the lineup?
Yeah, that's a good question. I still think it comes down to how you envision pinch hitting and that kind of thing. I liked the idea of Hedges starting because I figured he'd get one low leverage at bat, and then you'd pinch hit for him, and that'd be it. But I'd guess Bo Naylor would be back in there. I don't know. Who do you start in right field? Do you go Noel?
I think Noel's got to play right field every day.
I agree.
Now. I still think Fry. A lot of people obviously want Fry to start today, but he's not. I mean, you can't bench Manzardo against the righty. You save Fry for that big at bat. He's been clutch in those big spots. But I think Noel's got to play every day right now. One thing I was thinking about is, would it be good to have Hedges for Gavin Williams from that perspective? To have the more veteran catcher.
It could be, but you could also make an argument that Williams and Naylor came up through the system.
That's true.
Together.
That's a good point. Let's talk about Gavin Williams here, Zach. 8:08 tonight. Gavin Williams, we know what kind of talent this guy has. Missed the first half of the season. Has been inconsistent the second half. There's obviously been flashes, not many of them, but flashes of brilliance. We saw him pitch great late last season. Obviously, he hasn't pitched in, 3 weeks?
26 days.
Almost 4 weeks. Although Luis Gil, who's pitching for the Yankees, hasn't pitched in about the same amount of time. And he's also another guy. Young guy, was a little inconsistent this year, has good stuff. Gavin Williams, listen, we both thought Matthew Boyd would pitch well yesterday. I don't want to be biased about this, but I've wanted them to pitch Gavin Williams. I like Gavin Williams a lot. It's no more than a gut feeling that he's going to go out there and pitch really well tonight. And we'll see. I don't know how you feeling about it.
I've been saying the same thing. I think I'm just blinded by the pure stuff.
Yeah.
You've nothing to lose.
That's right.
If you don't pitch well, you hadn't pitched in a month. It's not your fault, man. But so go be a competitor and just uncork 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and mix in some curveballs and see what happens. I mean, he needs to be fearless. He needs to attack. The one thing that would be a little nerve-wracking would be that this Yankees lineup is so patient. And they will draw walks, and they will force you to come into the strike zone.
Yeah.
And I think where he has struggled is nibbling and not attacking the strike zone. He had starts where he'd be in the fourth inning and he'd have 85 pitches and he'd
Right.
have 3 or 4 walks. And you can't have that. He's got to be
Nope.
aggressive from the outset. And, they didn't overextend anyone in the bullpen, which is good. You can
Yeah.
bring Cade Smith back for an inning and a third if you have to.
Yeah.
But you do have another game tomorrow. And I know you need to win the day at hand.
Yes.
But whoever's starting tomorrow is starting on short rest. And so you'd prefer not to be in a situation where you're pulling Gavin Williams with 1 out in the third and trying to stitch together the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, ideally he can do what Matthew Boyd did, which is give you 5 good innings in this game. I mean, that would, if he gave him 5 good innings, if he pitched anywhere close to Matthew Boyd, that's a huge win. I think it's also big that there are other guys that you feel like you can trust. Like right now, I trust. I mean, I don't know how Stephen Vogt feels, but I trust Pedro Avila. I trust Eric Sabrowski.
What about Eli Morgan?
Eli Morgan? I kind of trust. I know he didn't look as sharp yesterday, but I trust him to some degree. I mean, I just think there's a lot of guys that you're at least somewhat comfortable putting out there, and you don't have to abuse your top guys. Sabrowski was one of the maybe the only guy that didn't pitch yesterday, besides the other starting pitchers or potential.
Yeah, Andrew Walters
pitchers.
looked good too.
He looked good. And what's interesting is even though all those relief pitchers they brought in, none of them threw more than 18 pitches. Avila threw 18. That was the most. Cade Smith only threw 10 pitches. Same thing for Gaddis. So, and, Clase hadn't pitched at all before yesterday. So they should be in good shape for today. And I think you got to, even though there's a game tomorrow, and even though that starting pitcher's on short rest to some degree, I think you got, if you tie this series up, I mean, then the Yankees are going to start doubting themselves after the way they blew it in Game 3. I think you got to be all in. Tomorrow, you deal with tomorrow. I just think you have to take it that way.
Yeah, I mean, so Williams faced the Yankees on August 22nd. It was Williams against Cole at Yankee Stadium. First 3 innings, he looked great. Gave up a couple singles, no walks, got a double play. No runs. Then he got to the 4th inning and Judge took him deep. And I think after that, there's a lot of nibbling and, well, can't let that happen again. So then he gives up a single, he gives up a walk, another walk, comes out in the 5th. He got out of that with the bases loaded.
Yeah.
Comes back out in the 5th inning, starts with 2 walks, and then that was about it. Then Sandlin came in, gave up a 3-run bomb to Stanton. So you can't. It's baseball 101. Don't give them any free opportunities. But especially with this lineup and with Williams' tendencies, and also I don't know how sharp he's going to be because he just hasn't pitched. He threw 20 pitches off the mound on Sunday in New York just to try to stay sharp. But
it's really hard to know what to expect. So that's why you just. He's got to, you talked about he's got to be aggressive, and he's got the stuff that plays so well. There's no reason for him not to be aggressive. But as you talked about, he's been a nibbler this year. That's hurt him. Obviously, you still have in the back of your mind about him tipping pitches, which I know Jason's talked about a lot. I'm assuming they feel like that's been cleaned up. Otherwise, they wouldn't have him pitch.
Yeah.
So, well, it's going to be fascinating. All right, let's talk about FanDuel here for a second, folks. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Let's get to some comments from the fans. Record number of fans watching the again.
But can you take me through your watching party, your perspective of those 2 home runs? Because which one was it? Was it the Fry one in Detroit where you said you jumped off the couch?
Yeah. I did not jump off
that.
I did not top that. No, because, well, first of all, when Jhonkensy hit the home run, I was just kind of laying there, like kind of feeling depressed, which is a weird feeling because I didn't grow up rooting for the Guardians, but I was like watching in bed, and I was like, I didn't even want to get up. I mean, I in my mind the game was over. I'm not, I'm not going to be a phony about it. I'm like, ugh. Thankfully, I did not do this because I have to go back between two houses here to do the shows, and I almost left where I was watching the game after the top of the ninth. I was like, they're not gonna do it. I was like, and I've been so positive. I haven't gone into negative Cleveland town at all, but going to the bottom of the ninth, it's like, it's not gonna happen. Effing Yankees are gonna win. It's blah 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 blah. So I was like, I'm just gonna lay here till the end of the game, and then I'll head on over. But so I just started screaming. I didn't jump out of bed, but I was like, oh my God. And my wife's like, what's going on? And so that was just screaming. By the time for Fry's home run, I was obviously back into it, physically, and then I was just sitting on the edge of the couch. And I for whatever reason, I didn't realize it was a home run right off the bat. I don't know what was going on in my brain. Maybe I just couldn't compute that they were going to win this game. And so then it was just more like, I was kind of stunned when Fry won. So there wasn't even much reaction from me at all at the house. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. We got a great post game. It's going to be so much fun. Everybody's so excited. This is unbelievable. So no jumping off the couch this time, just screaming and stunned. Those were my reactions.
If you were in attendance, would you have left early?
No. I would never leave a playoff game early. Never.
If for anyone listening, if you did, reach out to me. It's a safe space. I'll keep your secret, but I want to hear about your experience. I want to know.
Oh my God, I can't imagine. How could you leave a playoff game early? I don't even like leave. Like,
I know one person who wanted to beat traffic.
Oh, it's Cleveland. The traffic's never that bad.
I know.
Come on.
The game could end at 5:15 on a Monday. There's no traffic.
I mean, give me a break. Traffic. Oh man. Wow. I don't even like. I mean, once you have a kid, if you take your kid to the game, sometimes you got to leave a regular season game early because it's the kid's too late, whatever.
No, the kid needs to learn. If they end up losing that game, the kid needs to watch.
No, not a playoff game. No. I'm saying in the regular season, you could leave a game early if you have to. But like, it's funny because I don't remember if I told you this, but remember that crazy game last year in a crappy season? There was a game where it went like 13, 14 innings and they had fireworks after. I can't remember when it was. Sometime in July, I think.
Okay.
It was last year. Anyway, it was a wild game. They were losing. I think they tied it in the 9th. They tied it in the 10th. It was just the craziest game. And I had my entire Little League team with us. And we stayed to the end. I mean, the game ended at like 11 o'clock at night. But like the kids had the time of their lives. It was an experience they still talk about.
14 innings?
Yes, I think it was that game. Weren't they down a bunch of times late?
Yeah, they scored in the 9th. Both teams scored in the 12th. Both teams scored in the 13th. Both teams scored in the 14th.
That was it.
Grief.
I still have the picture on my phone. In fact, I'll bring it up real quick. I don't know if I can find it. Anyway, it's behind. But I took a picture of the whole team sitting on the dugout after the game because so many people had left, and those kids a year later remember that experience, and that was the regular season. So. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe anybody left the playoff game early. Maybe if it was like 10-0, I could understand that. But they were never down more than 2. So
yeah, but even like was there anyone who when Naylor grounded into the double play, did anyone walk out and then maybe they're even just like on the Gateway Plaza, or they're in the parking garage? And you hear the place going nuts, and you're turning around. You're like, can I still get back in? Wait, there's more.
I bet there was.
I wasn't at my car yet.
I bet you're right. There were people that the Nailer was the final straw, that they were walking out. And thankfully, that wasn't the final straw. Let's just get some fan reaction before we wrap up for the day. Buckeye guy, if we win tonight, pressure goes on the Yankees. Got to win tonight, but hopefully we're not mentally drained. Reese says, bro, Naylor absolutely killed my hopes last night. Ryan, yeah, imagine leaving and then having to hear on the radio if you're even listening. Now, Tom Hamilton with a great call. I mean, all the calls, all three, as you said.
Even, how about Rafa?
He was amazing. They
Feliz
replayed on the
Navidad.
TV. They replayed on the TV broadcast his call of the Lane Thomas Grand Slam, which was amazing. And Carlos Baerga is the best.
He's the two people that I feel like I'm in a sitcom, and
yeah.
Everywhere, if I look left, I see Carlos Baerga every day of these playoffs. If I look right, I see Rajay Davis. It's like, and it's great because I just every day I'm asking them, like, does this remind you of this game in '95 or like Lane Thomas hits the grand slam, and the first person I see in the hallway after is Rajay Davis. I'm like, all right, let's talk. Let's compare these here.
What's he doing, by the way? Is he
Rajay is he's like the senior director of on-field operations with MLB.
Oh, good for him.
So he was at all the Tigers games, and then I think he did games 1 and 2 in New York with the Mets or in LA with Dodgers Mets. But then he's back here for 3, 4, 5.
I played in a charity softball game with Carlos Baerga once, and he couldn't have been nicer. He was unbelievable.
He absolutely loves what he does. He loves the sport.
Yeah.
He loves connecting with a new generation of players, and he gets to call games on the radio.
Yeah.
He gets to be in the clubhouse and interview people, and he's like, his Instagram, I think, is huge, and he's always interviewing players in Spanish and just doing a lot of good stuff for the game. And he's obviously an ambassador for the organization. And he loves it. Like, he gets such and that's the thing about Cleveland too. And he was a really good player for a decent amount of time, but like, he loves walking around and people remembering him, and like he will wax poetic about 1995 and about, he was talking the other day about before they were going to face Skubal, and I don't remember what I asked, but whatever I asked was not about. I didn't expect him to bring up in '95 them facing Roger Clemens and them trying to intimidate Clemens and stepping out of the box and doing all this stuff to get him off of his game. But like, he absolutely loves this.
Yeah. And Brian Anderson, I know a lot of people sometimes don't like the national guy because fans think the national guy is always biased against their team, especially in this case because it's against the Yankees, where you and I know it's the fans that are biased. The broadcaster just wants the good story and the good game. And Brian Anderson was certainly very excited when he got that walk-off, the tying home run.
He's great.
He is as good as it gets at baseball play-by-play. Tremendous. Well, there you go. All right, folks. Thank you all for joining us. Again, Zach, we've broken the record for most live views at one time.
I think it's got to be a lame record if we break it every week.
Well, there's just more and more people. No, it's not. I mean, it's more and more people are jumping into the interest on the Guardians, especially when the Brown season is essentially over.
Yeah, I mean, it's like good for the Guardians for seizing the opportunity.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. I think there have been a lot of times where maybe you're never overtaking football. We've talked about this, and that's fine. Football's awesome. But you have to capitalize on the momentum when you can. And I feel like there have been times where that window has opened for them over the last 20 years or whatever, and they just haven't been able to do it. Sometimes they have, like in 16 and 17, but they've done a really good job here. I think this is something that can last. I think that goodwill can last into next year.
I know if they lose this series or if they got to the World Series and lost, certainly it would be disappointing. But I think they've done enough at this point where everybody's going to feel like it's been a great season. Certainly in the moment, if they lose this series or whatever, you're going to be heartbroken. But I feel like I feel like this win last night cemented it's been a great season.
Yep.
Obviously, you want to win the World Series, but either way, it's been a great season. It's been a great ride. I think fans have been able to enjoy the ride of the season, unlike almost any other.
Well, you're taking, how many casual fans knew who David Fry was before the playoffs?
Oh, yeah.
He's a household name in Cleveland now. Noel and the Big Christmas. Noel said a few weeks ago he loves when fans call him that. He thinks it's the coolest nickname.
It is.
And now you've got national announcers yelling it.
Yeah.
At a big moment. That clip is going to be played over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So you're seizing the opportunity here and kind of hammering home that this season was a really big step forward.
Yeah.
And I think it'll pay dividends down the road too.
No doubt about it. Folks, Zach and I will be back on tomorrow, Saturday morning at 9 a.m., hopefully talking about the series being evened up at 2, but either way, we'll be on tomorrow at 9. Zach, great to chat with you as always. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll talk to you later, folks. Thank you all for joining us. We love you. We appreciate you and appreciate the support. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. All right.